Hey everyone, happy Friday. It's Joe and it's time for Pocket with Joe over here on Sports Grid TV. Got a couple games left on the slate after the Toronto Maple Leafs got that win over the Detroit Red Wings 3-2. I am so blown away. I expected more goals in that one. Of the goal scorers I had, only Nylander came in getting that anytime goal. He was coming in at plus 110. So we did cash on that, but not the game that I expected out there. I expected that first period high scoring. The first period stayed under with no goals being scored. We also saw it stay under for the full total. So, not the way I wanted the game to go, but that's okay. We got two games left on the slate today, and we're going to go over a couple of the earlier games tomorrow. We got three we're going to look at so that we make sure you guys have those bets before the games kick off. Now, a lot of the odds aren't out, so I'm going to give you what I am leaning towards. We're still going to do Pocket with Joe tomorrow morning. So, just early look aheads. Yeah, guys. Happy Friday, everyone. Let's make some freaking money. It's time. It's time to make some freaking money. Let's start off with the first game on the board. Now, all odds are over at FanDuel here. We're gonna look at the game between the Buffalo Sabres and the Winnipeg Jets. Now, the Winnipeg Jets coming in as huge favorites at minus 184. I did think Lankakin was going to be in net for the Buffalo Sabres, but Eric Comrie has been confirmed. They're coming in at plus 152. There's so much value here, but I hate going against Connor Hellebuck in net, in goal at home for the Winnipeg Jets. That total 6.5 is interesting. Minus 118 to the over in this one. And looking at this matchup, I do think this is one where I lean towards the Winnipeg Jets to be able to get the win, but I think there's still an opportunity to make some money here on the Buffalo Sabres. I'm going to look at a couple of things for them. I know Jeff Skinner has been absolutely phenomenal out there for the Sabres, getting those goals. So him for the anytime goal tonight is coming in at plus 200. On the other side of the puck for the Jets, I would be looking at Kyle Connor here. His number coming in at plus 120. So not as much value there for Kyle Connor, but we know he's been scoring. We've seen the Buffalo Sabres go up and down. They're sitting 3-3-1 on the road, and the Winnipeg Jets solid at home, 4-3-1. So they haven't been outstanding, but I do think this is one where they're able to get the win, and we're not getting any value on the puck line here. We know Tage Thompson is out for the Buffalo Sabres. Huge blow to one of their strongest offensemen. But I do think with Jeff Skinner, we can count on the Buffalo Sabres to get some goals. So I'm looking at their team total. It just seems slightly low to me. I think this is a 3-4 game. The team total here for the Buffalo Sabres coming in at 2.5, over the 2.5 at minus 138. And I do think there's value in putting your money there. The Jets have been allowing these goals, and I know it's hard to go against Hellebuck in net, but you look at defensively what Hellebuck's doing. He's got a 2.99 goals against average and a 0.894 save percentage. It's not the same Hellebuck as we saw last season at home, where that save percentage was like 0.912. So I do think we can see success here out of the Buffalo Sabres offensively. This team is only averaging, though, 2.88. So they're sitting right under those 3 goals per game and 28.9 shots on goal. Now, they're off a couple of losses, and that Bruins loss really hurt. That was a 5-2 loss. I was hoping Lankakin would be in because he came in the second period and saved 14 shots on goal. They've got a really strong kill over here with the Sabres at 83.6%. And this is the first night of a back-to-back for the Jets. Now, that being said, the back-to-back situation they're in, it's the Coyotes on deck. So I don't think they're really looking ahead to this, but it is something to consider here. So give me the over 2.5. Give me Jeff Skinner for the anytime goal and Kyle Connor for the anytime goal. The next game on the board. I do think the next game on the board is a better one here. Thomas, big shout out to you. And the Winnipeg Jets in regulation are minus 1.5. I like where you're going there. I do think this could be one where the Winnipeg Jets do cover the 1.5, but I think if they do, that we still see the Sabres get 3 goals. Let's just look at what the Winnipeg Jets have allowed and what they're allowing defensively. They're not showing up as a strong defensive unit that we have seen season in and season out. The next game on the board, we got the Florida Panthers taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Now, the Florida Panthers, the favorite in this one at minus 176 on the road here. The Anaheim Ducks at plus 146, total 6.5. Juice to that over, minus 132 to the over 6.5. If you like the under, you're looking at plus 108. Now I know the Florida Panthers played last night. They played in a low scoring, really defensive matchup versus the LA Kings. And if you watch that game, they had so many opportunities, but hot goaltending for the LA Kings, this team was not able to record the win. So it was a 2-1 win for the Kings last night. And now they're going to travel to Anaheim and take on the Ducks. I do think they're the more sound team here. And I do think the Florida Panthers are the better team coming into this. Now, Stolarz is expected in goal. He's got a 2.71 goals against average and a 0.982 save percentage, and got John Gibson here for the Anaheim Ducks. I like what we've seen out of John Gibson so far this season, but I just don't think the Anaheim Ducks can really hang with the Florida Panthers. We know the talent here: Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk. Absolutely phenomenal. I do think they answer back off that loss last night. Now, I would be looking at a different situation here if the LA Kings were able to win it last night, because I do think this Ducks team, what we've seen out of them, they've been quacking, and it's really hard to go against them at plus 150 favorites. But I do think the books are right with what they're looking at here. We also look at the Ducks. They're off that loss to the Avs on Wednesday, 8-2. And then their schedule ahead of them, they've got the Blues on deck on Saturday, Montreal on Wednesday, and the Kings on Friday. And looking at the Florida Panthers schedule, they're at home facing the Oilers, the Bruins, and then the Jets on Monday. And that's going to be a great one. They also then have the Sens, and we're going to have the battle of the brothers there between Matthew and Brady Tkachuk when those two meet up. So it's going to be a strong schedule ahead of them. They need every win they can get. I'm expecting the Florida Panthers to go up in the first period. You guys know we've been cashing on the Florida Panthers on that puck line in the first period, laying the half a goal here in the first period, coming in at plus 134. And I do think that is a really solid way to go with this one. Now, Sam Reinhart has 12 goals and racked up 23 points so far this season through his first 15 games. And I do think Sam Reinhart, if you're looking for points strictly, is the way to go. Matthew Tkachuk and Barkov here, I would be looking at those anytime goals as well. They've also dominated over the Anaheim Ducks, winning the last 6 meetings. So I do think they'll come in strong, especially offensively, after being held to 1 goal last night versus the Kings. Now, when we look at those first periods, you guys know I love looking at those first periods. I'm going to take the Panthers in the first period. I'm not going to look at the over-under in the first period, but if you want to look at that, the Florida Panthers have gone 11-5 to the over and under, and in their last 4, 3-1 to the over and under. And the Anaheim Ducks in their last 4 have gone 3-1 as well, and 7-8 in their last or so far this season. So we are seeing strong trends to these teams going over in that first period. I just like Florida though on that puck line in the first period. So it's going to be the best game of the night. How about those Kraken, Joe? I know you love your Kraken. Thomas coming in with Jets in regulation. Okay, let's look at the early games for tomorrow and see if any more lines are up. The first one here with the Minnesota Wild taking on the Ottawa Senators. I love what we've seen out of the Ottawa Senators. Now, this game is in Sweden, so Minnesota has had to travel over. The Ottawa Senators are minus 102, minus 118 here for the Minnesota Wild, total of 6.5 at minus 120 to the over. I'm shocked that that earlier game in Sweden today didn't go over. I really do think that's what they want to see out of these teams in Sweden, high-scoring games. We haven't seen an overtime yet in Sweden. Could this be the first overtime? Well, if you think it can be the first overtime in Sweden, this one coming in at plus 360 for OT, and I've already bet it. We know how strong the Ottawa Senators are at getting those goals up on the board. We saw them in the last game versus Detroit. They went up fast, but then they allowed Detroit to come back, and then they ended up winning it at the very end. I do think this is another situation where we have a tight battle here. Marc-Andre Fleury in net tomorrow for the Minnesota Wild, and Korpisalo expected here for the Ottawa Senators. I think you look at Brady Tkachuk again for that anytime goal. I think you look at the Ottawa Senators team total to the over 3.5. And I'm just going to see if we're getting any odds as of yet on FanDuel for that. And we're not. We've got the overtime odds. We also have the 60-minute correct score, same game parlays, and goal scorers. If you're looking at Ryan Hartman is a good one to look at for the Minnesota Wild. He's coming in at plus 220. So much value. Brady Tkachuk for the Ottawa Senators at plus 55. Look at Swedish players as well, you guys. Definitely something you want to circle, looking for them to feed the players who are playing on their own home ice. Yes, Joe, I completely agree. I think the Wild and the Senators will be the first overtime in Sweden. That probably goes to a shootout. So I do think that is going to be a good one there. What else am I betting in this one? The over 1.5 in the first period. I just can't get away from thinking high scoring games between these two, both teams to score as well. We know both of these teams are allowing those goals to come in. The Minnesota Wild, this was a team that we did trust defensively last season. Now this season allowing 4.2 goals per game and 32.3 shots on goal and having the worst kill overall in the league versus the Ottawa Senators, who have the sixth best power play in the league and a high shooting percentage. So I do think those goals are coming in. The Sens also allowing those goals at 3.43. We know Corpuscello hasn't been lights out this season like I would have expected. So both teams to score the first period over 1.5 and both teams to score in the first half. I do think with his elite offense here of the Ottawa Senators, we win at least one. I do count on the Ottawa Senators get 2 of those goals to push us over 1.5. We just need the Minnesota Wild to get 1 extra goal to push us over for the both teams to score. So I do think it's a 2-1 first period. So high scoring. The next game on the board tomorrow, we have the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, no goalie confirmations as of yet. So when I sit here and talk about the Philadelphia Flyers at plus 34 being value, that's with Carter Hart. If Carter Hart isn't in goal and it's Urson like we're expecting here, I wouldn't bet the Flyers and I wouldn't bet the under. Minus 162 here for the Vegas Golden Knights. That total of 5.5 at minus 134 to the under. It all depends on what goaltender we're going to see out here. Carter Hart being absolutely phenomenal in net for the Philadelphia Flyers. Aiden Hill, strong goalie here for the Knights as well. We know how phenomenal he's been. He's got a 2.07 goals against average and a save percentage of 0.928. Defensively, the Knights have been phenomenally strong, and the Flyers as well. Both of these teams have really strong kills. Decent power plays, better power play here going to the Vegas Golden Knights. And these teams just did play at the end of October with the Vegas Golden Knights getting a low-scoring win, 3-2 win. Vegas is the right side. It's just how to find value. I could see the Vegas Golden Knights winning this one, 3-1. So I do like the puck line here for the Vegas Golden Knights. As long as Carter Hart is in net, I like this to the under. If it's not Carter Hart, I think this one probably goes over the 5.5. And Vegas, even more opportunity cover for that puck line. So laying the 1.5, if Carter Hart isn't in net, I feel more comfortable with Vegas. That's at plus 146 at the moment. Okay, the last game we're going to talk about for tomorrow, and then we'll do the rest on Puck It with Joe, and we'll probably get Puck It with Joe off before these games kick off. The Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Nashville Predators. Now the Blackhawks coming in at plus 155, minus 188 for the Nashville Predators. Total 6.5. Now that 6.5 is juiced to that under at minus 122. If you like it over, it's at plus 100. Saros is expected here for the Predators. He's got a 3.23 goals against average and a 0.982 save percentage. And for the Chicago Blackhawks, we're looking at Peter Moretz. He's got a 2.86 goals against average and a save percentage of 0.919. When I look at these two teams, you guys know automatically it's Connor Bedard for that anytime goal here for the Chicago Blackhawks. We know we keep riding him each and every game. He is hitting the majority of them. Now, this schedule has been hard for the Chicago Blackhawks. It's been kind of like home, road, and back again. So I feel for this team. The Nashville Predators are on a losing streak. They've lost the last 4 games, that last one to the Anaheim Ducks. So they're having a hard time. I expect them to come out nice and strong on home ice. I'm going to look at the Nashville Predators on the puck line in the first period. Now, I found this on a different book other than FanDuel, but that's coming in at laying the half a puck line is coming in at plus money. So if you can find that out there, FanDuel will have these odds up in the later in the night, and then you'll be able to get that plus money on FanDuel. So hold off for that. I also think both teams to score in this one is a viable bet. but in the second period. We know the Chicago Blackhawks normally start off a little bit slow, and if Connor Bedard is to come out hot, he gets that goal in the first period. But then I think the Nashville Predators in the first period are hit and miss as well. Second period for these teams seems to be where we're seeing the majority of the goals. So the second period, if you can get on your book for both teams to score, is where I would look. Now, the Blackhawks have struggled in Nashville, only winning one of the last 7 meetings in Nashville. I think the Nashville Predators are the right side. So that puck line, first period for the Preds, and I'm just hoping it's a 1-0 a score, and then it's 1-1 in that second period. So you guys, that is everything for today. Just talking those couple of games. Oh, you think the Ducks are quacking? I don't know if the Ducks are quacking tonight. I'm not sure I can get behind them here. This is a really hard matchup for sure. Bedard didn't score last night. So, yeah, we are looking at Bedard to score tonight after not scoring last night. Florida Panthers, first period. It's exactly how they need to bounce back in this one. So, you guys, we'll be back for Puck It with Joe tomorrow here on Sports Grid TV. Make sure you hit that notification button over on X and on IG so you know when we go live. I'm not sure what time it will be. We have discussed these 3 games. I will probably try. Let's just see tomorrow's schedule. So I am live tomorrow night from 8 p.m. to midnight Eastern on Sports Grid. These games kick off at 11 a.m. Eastern, which is 9 o'clock my time. Definitely the picks for the matchup between the Minnesota Wild and the Ottawa Senators, unless I tweet something, is going to be where I'm sitting with those bets. Let's try to get the show up at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Eastern. No, 1 p.m. 12:30 Eastern tomorrow. That is 10:30 my time. And we will go over all of these games from the Vegas Golden Knights all the way through to the night tomorrow to give you my best bets. We got a loaded card tomorrow. Some really interesting matchups. The New Jersey Devils and the New York Rangers should be a phenomenal one. Jack Hughes is back in the lineup. We got the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Washington Capitals, the Avs and the Dallas Stars, the Seattle Kraken back in action versus Vancouver off a loss. So that should be an interesting one. Vancouver already a solid favorite there. So the Montreal Canadiens in Boston. Boston's going to want payback off that last loss. And then Calgary, a huge favorite again at -140. So we'll break all of this down tomorrow. Make sure you join me here on Sports Grid TV. All the best in all of your bets. Yeah, 10:30. So that is 9:30 Pacific tomorrow, 10:30 my time. That will give me enough time to finish going all of these games tonight. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice. Bye, you guys.